Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Radhe Shyam, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, thank you for joining this morning. Srimad Bhagavatam class and attentive japa. We're on to a new topic now. Dhru Maharaj, very exciting topic and great example for all of us that we follow. Dhru Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj. So let's make a start. So the first one is Dhru Maharaj leaves home for the forest. So what happened? So Maitreya Muni is explaining about the Kuru dynasty to Vidur. So I shall now describe to you the descendants of Swayambhuva Manu, who was born of a part of plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality Godhead. So he's going to talk about Swayambhuva Manu first of all. Lord Brahma is a powerful expansion of the Supreme Personality Godhead, although Brahma is Jiva Tattva. So Brahma is just like us. Any of us can become Brahma if we do if we qualify. He's empowered by the Lord, and therefore he's considered a plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality Godhead. Sometimes it happens that when there is no suitable living being to be empowered to act as Brahma, the Supreme Lord himself appears as Brahma. Brahma is the plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality Godhead. And Swayambhuva Manu was the direct son of Brahma. The great sage Maitreya is now going to explain about the descendants of this Manu, all of whom are widely celebrated for their pious activities. Let's do a quick prayer. Mukham roti vachalam phangum lam yate garim yat kirpata hum vande Shri Gurun Din Taranam Paramananda Madhvam Shri Chataneshwaram Ariyam Tassat Naram Namaskritya Naram Chivan Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Uduriyet Nasta Preshu Padreshu Nitam Bhagavad Sevya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhagavati Neshtiki Hare Krishna. So Swayambhuva Manu had two sons by his wives, Shatrupa. And the names of the sons were Uttanpad and Priyavrat. The Supreme Personal Godhead, they were because both of them were descendants of a plenary expansion of Vasudev, the Supreme Personal Godhead, they were very competent to rule the universe, to maintain and protect the citizens. King Uttanpad, so one of the brothers, had two queens named Suniti and Suruchi. Suruchi was much more dear to the king. Suniti, who had a son named Dhruva, was not his favorite. So we concentrating on King Uttanpad. The great sage Maitreya wanted to describe the pious activities of the kings. Priyavrat was the first son of Swayambhuva Manu and Uttanpad was the second. But the great sage Maitreya immediately began to speak about Dhruva Maharaj. So we'll bypass the brothers as well. We'll go straight on to Dhruva Maharaj, the son of Uttanpad, because Maitreya was very eager to describe pious activities. The incidents in the life of Dhruva Maharaj are very attractive for devotees. From his pious actions, one can learn how one can detach himself from material possessions and how one can enhance one's devotional service by severe austerities and penances. So Dhruva Maharaj sets an example for us how to detach ourselves from everything. I mean, he had everything to live for, and yet he just gave it all up just like that. By hearing the activities of pious Dhruva, one can enhance one's faith in God and can directly connect with the Supreme Personality Godhead. And thus one can very soon be elevated to the transcendental platform of devotional service. So it's so auspicious, and when we take association of Dhru Maharaj, we get the benefit, and we can also get this empowered to become detached. The example of Dhru Maharaj's austerities can immediately generate a feeling of devotional service in the hearts of the hearers. So that's what it is. Generates a feeling of devotional service in a heart. So once upon a time, King Uttanpad was patting the son of Suruchi, his other wife, Uttam. Uttam, that's the name of the other son, placing him on his lap. Dhru Maharaj was also trying to get on the king's lap, but the king did not very much welcome him. While the child Dhru Maharaj was trying to get on the lap of his father, Suruchi, his stepmother, became very envious of the child, and with great pride she began to speak so as to be heard by the king himself. So this is the other queen, his stepmother, telling Dhruv, my dear child, you don't deserve to sit on the throne or on the lap of the king. Surely you are also the son of the king, but because you did not take your birth from my womb, you are not qualified to sit on your father's lap. So how hurtful that must have been for Dhruv to hear something like that, that he had to be qualified to sit on his own father's lap. It's just amazing. My dear child, you are unaware that you are born not of my womb, but of another woman. Therefore, you should know that your attempt is doomed to failure. You are trying to fulfill a desire which is impossible to fulfill. So she obviously had a lot of confidence in herself and her relationship with his father, that he could not do anything without her permission. although he was a king. The small child, Dhruva Maharaj, was naturally affectionate toward his father, and he did not know that there was a distinction between his two mothers. This distinction was pointed out by Queen Suruchi, who informed it that since he was a child, he didn't understand the distinction between the two queens. This is another statement of Queen Suruchi's pride. So she thinks she's, although she's queen just like Dhru Maharaj's mother, she thinks she's much superior to her. If you at all desire to rise to the throne of the king, then you have to undergo severe austerities. First of all, you must satisfy the Supreme Personality Godhead, Narayan. And then, when you are favored by him, because of such worship, you shall have to take your next birth from my womb. So, Shruti was so envious of Dhru Maharaj that she indirectly asked him to change his body. So, what does changing your body means? It means die. She wants him to die. And then if he wants to, if he dares to take birth again, he should take it from her womb, or otherwise don't bother. So according to her, first of all, he had to die, then take his next body in her womb, and only then would it be possible for Dhru Maharaj to ascend the throne of his father. So this is pretty cruel statements here. And sage Maitreya continued, my dear Vidur, as a snake, when struck by a stick, breathes very heavily. Dhru Maharaj. So he's only 5-year-old, but after hearing these words, having been struck by the strong words of his stepmother, began to breathe very heavily because of great anger. So he might look like a child, but he understood everything, and he was very, very angry. When he saw that his father was silent and did not protest, so that would make the child more angry, because his father, he expected him to support him, but didn't support him. So he felt very alone. He immediately left the palace and went to his mother. So at least he had confidence in his mother that she would stand up for him, she would help him. When Dhru Maharaj reached his mother, his lips were trembling in anger, and he was crying very grievously. Queen Suniti immediately lifted her son onto her lap, while the palace residents, who had heard all the harsh words of Suruchi, related everything in detail. Then Suniti also became greatly aggrieved, because it's her insult as well. It's insult to her son, insult to her, and her son was very cruelly treated. So naturally, the mother is very angry. This incident was unbearable to Suniti's patience. So she had been putting a lot, she had been tolerating so much, but when the finger is pointed at her son and her son is treated like this, then the mother cannot bear that pain. She can bear the pain of her own insults, but she dare not bear the pain of her son. She began to burn as if in a forest fire, and in her grief, she became just like a burnt leaf, and so lamented. As she remembered the words of her co-wife, her bright lotus-like face filled with tears, and thus she spoke. When a man is aggrieved, he feels exactly like Prabhupada says that when a man is aggrieved, he feels exactly like a burnt leaf in a forest fire. Suniti's position was like that, although her face was as beautiful as a lotus flower. It dried up because of the burning fire caused by the harsh words of her co-wife. So it seems that it says here that Suniti is also very beautiful, but her co-wife, I think she's very political, and she has manipulated the king, and the king is under her spell. She also was breathing very heavily, and she did not know the factual remedy for the painful situation. Not finding any remedy, she said to her son, my dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Anyone inflicts pains upon others, suffers himself from that pain. So she's saying that don't accumulate karma by wishing bad. If they have wished you bad, you wish them bad back. So you will also accumulate karma. You stick to your ground, and Krishna will take care of the rest. Smriti said, "My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Srichi is so, because the king, your father, does not consider me his wife or even his maidservant." So this is her position as she believes. He feels ashamed to accept me. Therefore, it is a fact that you have taken birth from the womb of an unfortunate woman, and by being fed from her breast, you have grown up. My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Surichi, your stepmother, although very harsh to hear, is factual. So she's saying that don't feel bad, because you can't blame her, blame the king, basically, because he has allowed this to happen. If he didn't allow this to happen, how would dare she speak like that to his son? Because it's not just Smriti's son, he's also the king's son as well. So how would he, why is he not angry that she has spoken to him like that? Therefore, if you desire at all to sit on the same throne as your stepbrother, Uttam, then give up your envious attitude and immediately try to execute the instructions of your stepmother. So make the best of a bad bargain. Instead of getting angry at what she had said, why don't you prove it to her that yes, you are capable of becoming the king, becoming the son of your father, and you're becoming you can lead a big kingdom. So without further delay, you must engage yourself in worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada says that the harsh words used by Srichi to her stepson were true, because unless one is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve any success in life. Man proposes, God disposes. Suniti, the mother of Dhru Maharaj, agreed with her co-wife's advice that Dhruva engaged himself in the worship of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indirectly, the words of Sruchi were a benediction for Dhru Maharaj. So we can take criticism as a benediction as well. This is what this proves, that if somebody says something harsh to us, don't take it personally. That, oh, they have been so harsh to me, that's it. Everything's over. And don't crumble under the pressure. Use those harsh words to make yourself better. Saying thank you for reminding. A person who criticizes is sometimes your best friend, because a lot of people won't tell you your weaknesses. Somebody tells you weakness, then work on that, improve yourself, and say thank you for the free advice you have given me, and I'll appreciate it, and I'll try and work on it. I won't take it personally and just be sad about it. I'll take it to my advantage. Or because of the influence of his stepmother's words, he became a great devotee, as we know later on, that she was actually a stepping stone or a launching pad. Had she not said those words, we wouldn't even be discussing Dhru Maharaj today. There would be no need. He would be just like any other personality. But he became special through those words. So we can just sometimes think that if somebody has said something to us, although it's quite bitter, maybe the Lord is trying to tell us something. He wants something for us. He wants us to be better. We deserve better. We can do better. And we just, plodding along in a way where we can do a lot more than we are doing. So yeah, we should look at it in a positive way and can do a lot of good things. So his mother Suniti continued, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so great that simply by worshipping his lotus feet, your great-grandfather, Lord Brahma, acquired the necessary qualifications to create this universe. So she is telling about the ancestors, the great-grandfather, Lord Brahma. Although he is unborn and is the chief of all living creatures, he is situated in that exalted post because of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom even great yogis worship by controlling the mind and regulating the life air. Suniti cited the example of Lord Brahma, who was Dhru Maharaj's great grandfather. Although Lord Brahma is also a living being, so as a soul, he is a living being. By his penance and austerity, he acquired the exalted position of creator of the universe by the mercy of Supreme Lord. To become successful in any attempt, one not only has to undergo severe penances and austerities, but also must be dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This indication has been given to Dhruva Maharaja by his stepmother and was now confirmed by his own mother, Suniti. So, if you want to achieve something, even though the result may not be obvious at the time, you have to do some austerity and penance. You have to make some great effort. So if you want something great, then the effort must also be great. If you want to go to a top university, then you have to work, you have to get A grades, you have to get top grades, A stars, if you want to go to top university. B's and C's may not do to qualify you. If you want to buy a very big house, then you have to spend a lot of money. You have to take a big mortgage. So depends on what you want. The effort has to equal that desire. Suniti informed the son, your grandfather Swayam Manu, the son of Brahma, executed great sacrifices with distribution of charity, and thereby with unflinching faith and devotion, he worshipped and satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By acting in that way, he achieved the greatest success in material happiness and afterwards achieved liberation, which is impossible to obtain by worshipping the demigods. So she's giving so many examples of a grandfather, of a great grandfather. She's saying, look, they didn't achieve anything. Nothing was given to them. They worked hard for it, and then they got the great results. The success of one's life is measured by one's material happiness in this life and liberation in the next. Such success can be achieved only by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you have to make the Supreme Personality of Godhead happy. You have to please him. It is especially stressed here that the opulence of Manu was due to his undeviating faithfulness in the transcendental service of the Lord. One who diverts his mind to worshipping many demigods to obtain material happiness is considered bereft of intelligence. If anyone wants even material happiness, he can worship the Supreme Lord without deviation. And persons who are desirous of liberation can also worship the Supreme Lord and achieve their goal. So you can ask anything from God. You can ask material happiness, or you can ask for spiritual happiness, spiritual results. Some people ask, should I worship Krishna if I have material desires? Of course you can. Because sooner or later, you will realize that material happiness is so mundane. You're chasing after the wrong thing. You will realize that. And sometimes we realize that after having the material happiness, that is it. It's so after a bit you get bored. Why? Why was I chasing this? What was so important about this? Because now it doesn't mean anything to me anymore. It's like that. Very temporary. My dear boy, you also should take shelter of the Supreme Personality Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees. Person seeking liberation from the cycle of birth and death always takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in devotion service. Becoming purified by executing your allotted occupation, just situate the Supreme Personality Godhead in your heart, and without deviating for a moment, engage always in his service. So his mother is advising him what he has to do. The system of Bhakti Yoga described by Queen Sniti to her son is the standard way of God realization. So Smriti, she knows everything. She understands completely what the formula is for success. Everyone can continue in his constitutional occupation duties and at the same time keep the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart. This was also instructed by the Lord himself to Arjuna in Bhagavad-Gita. So Lord Krishna said to Arjuna, go on fighting, but keep me within your mind. That should be the motto of every honest person seeking perfection in Krishna consciousness. In this connection, Queen Suniti advised her son that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Bhritya Vatsala, which indicates that he is very kind to his devotees. She said, you came to me crying, having been insulted by your stepmother, but I am unable to do any good for you. But Krishna is so kind to his devotees that if you go to him, then the combined kindness of millions of mothers like me will be surpassed by his affectionate and tender dealings. So this is amazing. She says, one mother cannot help you in this matter. You need millions of mothers. And who are millions of mothers? The Lord himself. He has the kindness of millions of mothers. When everyone else fails to mitigate one's misery, Krishna is able to help the devotee. Queen Smriti also stressed that the process of approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not easy, but is sought after by great sages who are very advanced in spiritual realization. Queen Smriti also indicated by instruction that Dhru Maharaj was only a small child, 5 years old, and it was not possible for him to purify himself by the way of karmakant. But by the process of bhakti yoga, even a child less than 5 years old or anyone of any age can be purified. That is a special significance of bhakti yoga. Therefore, she advised him not to accept worship of the demigods or any other process, but simply to take to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the result would be all perfection. As soon as one places the Supreme Personality of Godhead within one's heart, everything becomes easy and successful. So there's a lot of merit given to Bhakti Yoga. And as we were discussing last week, you can be any color, you can speak any language, you can be any age, as it's shown here. And you can be poor, you can be rich, you can do Bhakti Yoga anywhere, any planet, any country. It's just so simple. The great sage Maitri continued, the instruction of Dhru Maharaj's mother, Suniti, was actually meant for fulfilling his desired objective. So his mother gave him great advice, and she was so self-realized. Therefore, after deliberate consideration and with intelligence and fixed determination, he left his father's house. So he got the confidence and the courage through his mother. He got her blessings. Although she said, you're very young, but he was internally, he was very determined. He said, if something is possible, then I will make it possible. Both the mother and the son were lamenting Dhru Maharaj having been insulted by his stepmother and his father, not having taken any step on this issue. But mere lamentation is useless. One should find out the means to mitigate one's lamentation. So just feeling sorry is not enough. What action is action in Krishna consciousness? You have to take action. Without action, it's just a mere sentimentality. Action is very important. But thus both mother and son decided to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, because that is the only solution to all material problems. You cannot solve material problems by material solutions. You have to have spiritual solutions. It is indicated in this connection that Dhru Maharaj left his father's capital city to go to a secluded place to search out the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is the instruction of Prahlad Maharaj also that if one is seeking peace of mind, he should free himself from all the contamination of family life and take shelter of the Supreme Godhead by going to the forest. To the Gaudiya Vaishnava, this forest is the forest of Vrinda or Vrindavan. If one takes shelter of Vrindavan, under Vrindavaneshwari, Srimati Radharani, certainly all the problems of his life are solved very easily. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining. And what a wonderful pastime this is. It's amazing. And we just got Damodar month starting, and this Damodar month is so sweet. And this Dhru Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj's pastimes are so sweet. So what can I say? And this sweetness does not give you any side effects, only good side effects, no bad side effects. Thank you so much, Radhya, Prabhuji and Mataji, Prem Prakash Prabhu, Shani Mataji, my father-in-law ji, Partha Prabhu, Parveen Mataji, and Sarveshya Mataji. Thank you for joining. Love your comments on this, and we'll start with Partha Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
How are you, Prabhu?
I'm good, Prabhuji. Such a lovely pastime,
Yeah.
especially because Dhruva Maharaja is only 5 years old. Even child likes this pastime. Like children like to hear this pastime. I have seen in Gurukul classes
Yeah.
that Prabhuji asks children to tell a pastime, and every children tell this pastime so nicely because they have a lot of learning from this pastime as well, including us as well. And I felt like listening to Bhagavad-Gita chapter 7 and 8 mostly when I'm listening to this pastime, especially. And there are so many points, like started with saying envious leads to pride. So that's where Lord Krishna says, like, when you contemplate an object, you develop attraction, lust, and then how it became, finally you end up coming to material world. And the analogy which Prabhupada said, like snake struck by the stick. So how the snake gets angry, that much angry Dhru Maharaj got, even though he is 5 years old. But still, her mother consolidated him so nicely and guided him towards the Supreme Lord. That is so nice. So Suriji is actually the first spiritual master for Dhru Maharaj in that way, because she guided him to the the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you said so many other points, like don't crumble under pressure. You use the word bitter and better. Those two are very nice. Sound like same, but have a lot of difference, like bitter and better. And formula for success is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So as in Bhagavad Gita it says, like Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. So one who is resolute in Krishna consciousness, and that is the highest perfection. Any other knowledge will not give you, or any speculation will not give you that knowledge. Only through the devotional service, as mentioned again in chapter 9, Rajavijja Rajaguyama, chapter 10. That's all, Prabhuji.
Thank
And one more word, like I was just reading this in Bhakti Shastri. So Amritam word comes in 10.18, where Prabhupada mentions so nicely that the Puranas are histories of bygone ages that relate the pastimes of the various incarnations of the Lord. In this way, the reading matter remains forever fresh, despite repeated readings. So these pastimes, every pastime, Lord has a role in every pastime. That's why those pastimes are ever fresh and like an Amritam, nectar. That's it.
Amazing, amazing. And in fact, I was speaking to this Mataji in Vrindavan when we were there, and she said to me, the very big devotee, she serves there in the temple, and she said that whenever she feels down or she feels doubtful, whatever, we can all do them. Maya is very great. And she said she reads this chapter about Dhru Maharaj. And actually, her Guru Maharaj had told her that whenever you feel down, read about Dhru Maharaj.
So,
Brings back your spirit again. Very, very nice. Thank you so much. Parveen Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, and but pranam to everyone. A very nice pastime, and Partha Prabhu has really explained all the points very nicely again. And yeah, all I can say is Dhruva Maharaj ki jai. Such a young age, and he managed to do so much bhakti, and he got Supreme Personality of Godhead. And despite he started because he wanted the kingdom, or bigger kingdom than his father's. But when he got darshan, then he said no, he was happy with what he got. He didn't want any material things. So it's a big lesson to us, like you said. So we shouldn't run after material things, but we've been unfortunate. We've been been slapped from here and there everywhere, but nobody guided us from the young age. That's the way, that's what you need to do. So, so but better late than never. So thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for that. Yeah, you're quite right. Yeah, he had good association, he had good advice, and but we have to also see that he was so hurt. I think his situation. We don't even want to imagine being in that state that he's the son of a king, yet he has no rights, and people can come and insult him, and his father, who's the king, doesn't do anything to support him, and he can only turn to his mother. That's all he can do, turn to his mother. There's nobody else for him. So he's in a very, very dire situation. But if that situation, if he was us, we'd probably go into depression or do something silly. But he, through his mother, who is acting like his guru right now, he used that to his advantage. So that's what. So it's a good example that when you have a setback, don't take it as setback. Use it to get yourself even further, get yourself even stronger. That's the answer here. That's the example given. That don't just lie because you had a setback. Get even stronger. And this is what he did. And but the thing is, Radharani just mentioned that we should always pay to ask as well, because we can't always work out things ourselves. We need to source out the right person to ask. So if we have a problem, we should always be ready to clear our doubts. This is why Guru is there. This is why Shastra is there. This is why senior devotees are there. Always clear your doubts. Very, very important to clear doubts, because only then we can move forward. Okay. We'll ask Aradhya, see who turns up. Well, any points, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
I'm sorry we joined a bit late, so we would like to listen.
We're just talking about Dhru Maharaj. You know the pastime. Any
Yes,
comments? What do you understand by Dhru Maharaj's predicament?
Yeah, just a minute. Prabhu will contribute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. One thing I'm still curious to know who was Dhru Maharaj in his previous life, because without having previous credits, it's not possible to actually attain the highest goal of life. But it seems like even though he was angry, he was discontent, the two things he actually was able to follow. First thing is instruction from his mother. That's first thing, that's instruction for Guru, and the devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these two things he was able to follow. Obviously, instruction from mother, instruction from Narad Muni, and the devotional service to Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because when Narad Muni came, then eventually when he came to Dhruva Maharaj, he gave various options. This is not, you are Kshatriya, you should be ruling, you should be going back, you are a child, it's not place for you, you should go back. So there were many options given to him, but he was very much adamant to achieve what he wants. But that was given as a point of prescription was given the Supreme to do as a devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by remembering him. So in spite of, he was angry as well. He was angry, and it was not anger, constructive anger. It was more anger towards why I was not given a position. So desire is still very strong, you see. But in spite of all those things, all those what we call material impediments, he exhibited at that point of time. But still, he was very much submissive to his mother. He understood what he wants and what his mother is telling. He took that as an instruction, and he was able to follow it. So for my, if I look from my understanding, it's important to see that we are able to follow one, the instruction of Guru Maharaj, and this obviously for respecting our parents as well. Okay. So the instruction of Guru Maharaj and the instruction and what we need to follow is follow the process of devotional service, the prescription that is given to us. If we are not able to follow the prescription, then we won't be able to, if we follow the prescription, then we'll be able to find our success. So that's what I actually would like to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prem Prakash Prabhu. Absolutely. And for that, you have to understand as well what you need to do, and you have to be humble to take the instruction. That's very, very important. You have to be humble to surrender to a guru, any guru, whether it's your mother or your Guru Maharaj. To surrender to any person, you have to be first very humble inside. You have to get that state that you are willing to surrender, you're willing to listen, you're willing to follow. And so it shows that Dhru Maharaj, age of 5, he was humble enough to follow the instructions, not say, no, I'm going to do this way, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. He clearly followed the instructions as prescribed and made a good, strong decision in his mind that he's going to stick to this no matter whatever difficulties come his way. So very, very good example there. Thank you so much, Prem Prakash Prabhu. I know Lydia Mataji, welcome. I know you just joined, but I know you know about Dhru Maharaj. Would you like to say something about Dhru Maharaj and his pastime? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Mataji.
Oh, I'm just listening. If that's all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mataji. Okay, Sureshi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, everybody. All the points have been discussed and it's been discussed nicely. The only thing I'm going to say, there are always been good and bad activities done by people. And if you do good activities towards anybody, have learned to bring it to Krishna consciousness, anything, and that is called dharma. That is dharma. And if you do bad activities, that is called adharma. That is like Diti was insulting Dhru Maharaj, and she was very envious. She favored her son than Dhru Maharaj. And when Dhru Maharaj, he took shelter of his mother. And if people don't know, they have to take shelter of somebody who knows more than you. So he took shelter of mother, and the mother became Guru. And she told him to take shelter of Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, because nobody can do anything besides Supreme Personality of Godhead, because she had a fight. Fight is very, very important. If you don't have fight, you can't achieve your goal. So she had fight, and so she said to her son also to have fight in the Supreme Personality Godhead, that only He can do whatever you want in your life, because Lord Brahma, your great grandfather, he achieved by worshipping Supreme Personality of God. So the only way is if you worship, or if you have a faith in Supreme Personality Godhead, then all the word desire will be fulfilled. And that teaches us that we should have faith like Dhru Maharaj. And when he had faith in his mother, mother had faith in Supreme Lord, and that he had a faith. If he didn't have faith, he wouldn't have gone to the forest. So he had a faith in Supreme Personality of God. And in your life, if you want anything, you always pray to Supreme Personality of God instead of demigods, because it's Shloka says, Akamo Sarva Kamo Va Moksha Kamo Udadi Tibren Bhakti Yogan Yajite Purusham Param. Then if you want material desire, or you don't want material desire, you want liberation, or you don't want liberation, in any circumstance, you worship Supreme Personality God, because He's the mind source. He's, the demigod that get their powers to give benediction from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna says that in the Bhagavad-Gita as well, Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukrantu arjuna arto jidyasi arthati vyani cha baristava. Our best among of Bharata's 4 kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto it. The distress, the desire of health, that Dhruva Maharaja had all that symptoms. He was distressed, he wanted wealth, and then he was inquisitive as well, like about faith in Krishna and spiritual Godhead. And he had the knowledge, because Mother gave him the knowledge of Supreme Personality of God, that only he can fulfill your desire. Nobody in this world can fulfill your desire. And we should have that faith as well, that nobody can fulfill your desire except Krishna. That's why we chant the Krishna Maha Mantra and worship Krishna, because he's the mind soul. He says, Pitama Jakto Mata Pitama, he's everything. So Dhru Maharaj had faith, and because of the faith, he went in the forest. And then what will happen, we will have in next. So, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Malik. You're absolutely right. And Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita that, well, we just read as well, that whether you want something material or you want something spiritual, come to me. Don't go anywhere else, because you just come to me and I can provide you everything, because He is the source of everything, spiritual and material. So he can give us anything we want. And but Maharaj, he had to go, like we're saying, that if you want something big, then your endeavor has to be big. And he was asked to do bhakti yoga for the Lord, towards the Lord. But for us, the Lord says, okay, it might not be possible for you to do something that high straight away. So the Lord offers options in Gita. He says, you do what is feasible and possible, according to your capacity right now, gain knowledge, offer charity, worship me in your daily service, in your daily lives, in your own way, up to your own capacity, and also follow the regulations, start following the regulations. So, he's given us, like, he has broken it down, the Bhakti Yoga system. He says, when you start doing these things, you will eventually come to that level. We want, Dhru Maharaj, at the age of 5, we have to go straight to the top of the class. We can work our way up. And Krishna has been so kind and magnanimous to give us that option. So we thank Srila Prabhupada for showing us that we don't have to do big bhakti straight away, because that might scare us off and might not even be possible for us physically or mentally. We can work our way up. So Radharani, you want to say something?
Yeah. Hare Krishna, everyone. I just wanted to add that the faith, we always talk about the faith. So just for example, we look all the time, our families around us, and we hear, and this is how we develop kind of faith or attachment to our families. And similarly, by looking at the Archvigraha, the Murtis, the form of the Lord, by hearing about the Lord, remembering about the Lord, and serving the Lord, we develop the faith. And this kind of faith about today, Maharaj. Dhru Maharaj ki jai.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alan. Okay, so thank you so much. We'll do a couple of rounds now.
Prabhuji, I've just got a quick question. Sorry,
No.
you can answer, by message or something. So it mentions about austerities and penances, but like I'm not able to do much apart from doing Ekadashi Vrat or doing our 16 rounds. So what else are we can do, gradually to increase? So if you can like address that whenever, if anybody else wants to put in the group.
In the Damodar month, you say, Madhuri?
No, in general.
What else can we do apart from
Yeah.
austerities, right?
Hmm.
Okay, well, I'll put something in the group.
Yeah, please. Thank you so much.
There you go. Sureshi Mataji would like to do the first round, and Puri Mataji, please do second round for us.